If you're suffering with wrist pain, pain in your hands, and maybe you've been diagnosed with carpal tunnel syndrome, I'm going to go through some of the causes of carpal tunnel, but also, more importantly, some natural tips how to fix it. Now, carpal tunnel syndrome is when the median nerve actually gets compressed under the transverse carpal ligament that you can see here, and that numbness or tingling because of that squeezing of the median nerve can happen in your first index finger and also the thumb region. There can also be uncomfortable feelings in the wrist itself and in the thumb area, and maybe there is even some weakness in your hands. And you may notice this if you practice yoga or you lift weights, you may notice some weakness in the hand that's affected with the carpal tunnel syndrome. Now, what are some of the causes of this? Well, let's go through the list. I have got 5 different causes. Okay, number 1, repetitive strain. So if you're texting a lot on your phone, if you're using a mouse on your computer, that repetitive strain in this area of the wrist and the hand muscles can cause that carpal tunnel syndrome. Number 2, if you do a lot of manual tasks, this can also be a cause for that carpal tunnel and that squeezing of the median nerve. Number 3, there is a correlation with your thyroid being low and carpal tunnel syndrome. So a lot of people actually do have low thyroid, you're hypothyroid, and you may manifest in that symptom of the carpal tunnel. Number 4 on my list is mineral deficiencies. So calcium, magnesium have a lot to do with proper muscle contraction and relaxation. Optimizing your minerals in your diet is going to be really important. Some people do need to supplement with something like a magnesium. My favorite type is Magnesium Bisglycinate because it is a natural muscle relaxant and can really help with the carpal tunnel and some of that achiness that can happen in the muscles around the hands and the wrist area. And number 5 is a vitamin D deficiency. Now, isn't this interesting? In this study, the results showed that vitamin D deficiency was considerably more prevalent in patients with carpal tunnel syndrome at a 95.8% compared with the controls who only manifested in 22.9% with carpal tunnel when their vitamin D status was okay. So this goes to show you that, yeah, some of my tips are going to make sense now in terms of helping naturally with your carpal tunnel. Okay, tip number 1 is to do some yoga stretching. And one of my favorite things to do is when you're pressing your palms together and now really helping to open up those areas around the wrist and now slightly tilting your fingers to one side and then slightly tilting your fingers to the other side. This is great if you have a lot of computer syndrome, you know, a lot of repetitive strain because of using your mouse all day. This is something you can do at your desk. Really helpful for stretching out this area. Okay, number 2 is to fix your underlying thyroid, or maybe you have a leptin resistance issue, which often can manifest in the symptoms of having your thyroid being low, and that is related again to that carpal tunnel. Number 3 is to take your Magnesium Bisglycinate. Like I said earlier, it's a natural muscle relaxant, helps to balance your electrolytes, and most people actually are deficient in magnesium, so that's going to be important as well to make sure that you're upping your magnesium status. Number 4 on my list is to also take a whole food calcium. Now, whole food coral calcium is loaded with other nutrients, so things like boron, rubidium. These are important nutrients that actually help with the proper absorption of that calcium, helping to balance out those electrolytes and can help with that proper muscle contraction, but relaxation as well. Number 5 on my list, of course, you probably guessed it, vitamin D, and of course getting it from the sun. So natural sunlight exposure is a natural anti-inflammatory. It will help with the leptin signaling as well, which can be related to overall inflammation in the body. And some people do need to supplement though to get their stores up a little bit with a natural vitamin D. Just make sure that it's naturally sourced. The one that I like is naturally made from sheep's wool, from the lanolin, and it has a better absorption compared to other types of vitamin D3. Okay, number 6 on my list is vitamin B12. Now this is important because vitamin B12 has a lot to do with how well our nerves function. And vitamin B12 is really necessary for that myelin coating on the outside of our nerves. So ensuring that your B12 status is optimized is going to be really important. Again, always if you're going to supplement, make sure it is not the cyanocobalamin. Always make sure that it's a high quality, naturally sourced vitamin B12. And number 7 is you may want to, especially at nighttime, tape your wrists. So you can use something like kinesiology tape, that K-tape, to stabilize your wrists at nighttime. Because when you're sleeping, your wrists could be sort of bending too much in the wrong way, and stabilizing with some kinesiology tape can help to keep it nice and straight as you sleep so that you don't wake up and it's contracted because of that carpal tunnel. Now for tips on that leptin resistance and how to fix that leptin resistance that I talked about earlier, earlier, I want you to check out my video, 10 tips to fix leptin resistance. I'll see you there.